Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back into another edition of Jake's Takes. I am your host, Jake Masucci, and we got to do a part two. We got to bring back more Tigers action. We're going to bring Marty Hannon back on. We did our recording for part one with the Scooble and Framble Valdez stuff on Sunday. And then today's Tuesday, and we have some crazy news with Justin Verlander coming back. I'm going to get Marty's reaction, just a couple questions here. This is probably going to be the shortest podcast I've ever done. So really excited for this. And without further ado, I'm going to cue the music. All right, welcome back into Jake's Takes, and it seems like we were just here. We're back with my guy, Marty Hannon, and some crazy news dropped, which means we had to do a part two. Justin Verlander has signed with the Detroit Tigers. Contract is worth up to $13 million. It's a 1-year deal with $11 million, like as the for sure he can get up to $13 million. But Marty, this is unbelievable, man. Talk to me about your feelings about this and what it all means. This is your favorite player, and he's coming home, man. It's sick.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not many words that can describe it, man. I mean, he was my favorite player growing up. I remember I was like basically waiting for this day for 8.5 years since we traded him. Even when we were good, it was always kind of sour that, when he'd be pitching at Comerica Park, it was in another uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and too, it's funny, right? Like I was super pumped when he won those World Series, and there's always that like bittersweet thing too. It's like, man, and now coming back with the goal to do seemingly the one thing he regrets in his career.
Yeah.
um, it's yeah, this might be my favorite thing I've ever seen, especially like an off season move in sports.
I know.
Just plain,
Like, I immediately texted you and was like, okay, we just did this whole part one of this podcast, and now
yeah,
we got this. So we can't not talk about it. So
yeah,
we talked about, like, a little bit off camera to start, like, what it's going to mean. We have a lot of pitching. Me and you talked a little bit about Reese Olson's health a little bit. So tell the audience exactly what you see Verlander's role being, and then talk about, now we have like 6 starting pitchers. So it's going to be interesting seeing how we deal with this. And I mean, we talked about how good the pitching is too. So it's interesting.
yeah. I think this means so Verlander's role is going to be a back end starting pitcher, whether it's the fourth or the fifth. I mean, that doesn't really much matter. He'll be in the back end of the rotation. Like he's you're really hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right? So I don't really see him going into the bullpen of any sort, anything like that. Um, I actually don't believe he's in a regular season game come out of the pen once. Um, and definitely not since 2006. He came out once when he was in an Astros uniform to as an attempt from AJ Hinch, funny enough, to close out against the Red Sox in the 2020 or the 2017 postseason. But other than that, so he will definitely be a starting pitcher. I don't see a world where Mize and Olson aren't starting pitchers too. But the fact of the matter is, we talked about this a little bit last time. Olson's coming off an injury, and now it sounds like he's iffy for opening day. So, that's a long time that he likely hasn't thrown, likely has been dealing with multiple appointments with specialists and potentially a long-term injuries on the way. So I think that's case A. I think that's the most likely thing that Olson won't be ready for the foreseeable future, and we didn't want to lose Troy Melton coming out of the pen or Drew Anderson, guy we signed from the KBO. Um, Case B, I think would be um that I guess maybe we would be looking to trade Mize because he's in an expiring contract. I don't really see that though. I just like I just don't really see that to be the case, and, like, I don't think we there's enough value to do that.
Mhm.
And then uh, in case C, I guess, would C/D is, like, we'd be looking to trade Olsen, which I also don't see happening, or we'd be, basically just Olsen and Mize have a lot of excuse me, a lot of injury history, and the idea that either, 43-year-old Verlander or injury-prone Olsen or Mize may need to miss a start is likely, and then they kind of all like, those 3 guys just kinda finish out those last couple spots in the rotation throughout the season. So, that is personally how I see this fitting. Um, but regardless, I'm super, super excited. I personally think what we're gonna get out of Verlander is gonna be very good. He was very good at the end of last year. He had a really rough start to the season. It was also one of the most unlucky seasons in baseball, history.
Mhm.
Um, he had a terrible record. It was like 4-11, but if you when you look past that, 3.85 ERA, which is perfect coming out from the last couple spots of the rotation. He had multiple starts where he was pitching well over 100 pitches. Those weren't always resulting in lots of innings pitched, but if he can find a way to be a little more efficient with his pitches, if he's as he's been his whole career, not afraid to go into the like past 105 into the 110s. I mean, you're looking at another guy who's gonna save our bullpen. And I don't think that should be the expectation. That's a little bit, I think, my fan bias thinking. But um like this is more so than just what's gonna be on the field too. He's a guy that's won a World Series with AJ Hinch. He's won a World Series with Framber Valdez. He's been in a very similar position to that as Skubal is in right now with the organization, with Mike Ilitch, and but obviously Chris was very much remembers that as it was too long ago. Um, so I love everything about this, and even and I was saying too, it's like people can say things about what they want about like sentimental type deals and whatnot, and I get it, I get it. And for me, I would be the person who, as Jake knows, you could attack the most for liking this simply for the sentiment of it. But why I've why I came to love Justin Verlander and have continued to, and why everybody in Detroit, Houston, and even probably New York and San Fran had when they watched him, is he is an absolute competitor. There's, I mean, there's nobody you'd rather go out there if you're looking for a guy to go win you a game. Like, he's a guy he puts the team first, team needs before anything else. I remember an interview, man, it was probably 10, 12 years ago now, when he was in his prime with Detroit, and he was saying he's like, I pitch differently than when we're up 6-0 versus when it's 1-0. If it's 6-0, he's trying to save the bullpen. If it's 1-0, he was trying to uh, just make sure that no runs were coming across, right? Basically, this guy, he's the definition and he's a dying breed of an absolute workhorse. Yeah, he's 43, but like that hasn't changed. And what a guy like this will mean to a team like this that is young, they're hungry, they've lost, and they've lost hard. A guy like this he's been at the bottom with things, you know, and he's also been at the top. Like, it's also a leader you need in this clubhouse that really, I think, can propel us from being the team that's a quote unquote contender, making it to game 5 in the ALDS with what ifs versus really coming out of the AL and maybe slaying the dragon in LA.
Yeah. I mean, this is what every team needs, right? The veteran that's done it and can help people lead them along, you know? Like, I talked about it a lot in NBA podcasts with the Chris Paul situation with the Clippers. Like, they weren't ready for that. They had an old roster that wasn't hungry, that didn't want to win. And that's what I talked about in Monday's episode with winners and losers. I had them as a loser because they couldn't figure it out, you know? Um, and the thing with the Tigers is this is a young, hungry team that wants to win and is going to be like dying for the information that Verlander can give them. Like Verlander, like his role is just small, like you were saying, you know. But one thing that I absolutely love is even though he's 43 years old, in his 42-year-old season, he threw 152 innings pitched. Like for our fourth pitcher or our fifth pitcher, that is an amazing stat line. I absolutely love it. And Marty, you got to be jumping off the walls, man. Like I know you so
Yeah,
well. Like this move has just got to mean so much to you, man.
I couldn't ask for anything else. And I'll tell you, the tide has completely shifted in the league about what people think of the Tigers now. It was like, when's the small market gonna trade their best player? And now it's, holy shit, these guys are in it to win it. And
Yeah,
I that's one of the most important things, I think. And another thing to add to that point, um, Verlander had 152 innings pitched last year. Casey Mize had 149.
there we go.
So, like, and Mize was 14-6. Verlander's 4-11, sure. Verlander actually edged him barely in ERA as well. Uh, and they had similar strikeout numbers too. So, like, realistically, if that is the the Verlander we get, which is like the lowest end of Verlander you'd probably get now, because
Mhm.
you can look at some of Verlander's seasons where like he'll have an elevated ERA in the fours and such, and that was when he was with us. Those years are kind of behind because he's not an ace anymore. He's um like you need your ace to go deep into games, right? Giants never really needed that, so and he has some clunkers with them, but like there'd also be games like he goes 5, does well, all right, we're taking him out. Like when you didn't have that luxury in 2008 and 2015, sometimes those numbers get a little elevated. So like the the I really think the output of what we got last year is going to be very similar to what we're going to get this year, and if not even a little bit better, because who knows what he's thinking and if this is what he's thinking is going to be where he ends or what. But I really think he's still got more in the tank. I think it's going to be a lot of fun this season.
100%, 100%. Well, Marty, thanks for coming back on, man. I mean, like, what are the odds? We do a Tigers
Yeah,
podcast that's scheduled to come out tomorrow, and then boom, we got to do more content. It's crazy.
yeah,
Appreciate you coming on, man.
yeah, dude. Of course.
All right, that is going to wrap up this part two section of this show. Big thank you to Marty Hannon for coming back on. I mean, unbelievable news getting Verlander back. I'm pumped. I'm so pumped to be a Tigers fan right now. Had to get two parts in there, which I'm very excited about. Looking forward to next week, we will continue with the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday schedule. Monday will be Reaction Monday. Tuesday, we're looking at another draft show. Probably going to be Cameron Boozer versus Caleb Wilson. They had a great game last weekend and kind of diving deep into that one. I like diving deep more into those main prospects because of how good I think they're going to be. So that's probably will be the main thing we focus on next week with the draft show. And then Wednesday, we're going to be having Asher Smith on, get some college basketball action back with us as well. So super excited for next week's content. And a big thank you to Marty Hannon for coming on the show. That'll wrap up the show for today. Please like, subscribe on YouTube. Give us those 5 stars on Spotify, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.